in this video, I'm going to be talking all about post-purchase surveys. In particular, I'm going to be highlighting my favorite post-purchase survey, which is Enquire. Now, Enquire is a Shopify app, and what it will do is when people purchase on your site, it will simply ask them a survey that says, "How did you hear about us?" So here's a nice example from Outdoor Voices, and as you can see, they've listed all of their different acquisition channels, as well as things like community events, friends or family, influencer, any way that someone could have heard of the brand. But most importantly, we're adding TikTok to the mix. So there's other post-purchase survey platforms out there if you are not on Shopify, but if you are a Shopify store, I find Enquire to be the best solution, and it's for a couple reasons. One of them is that it has a very high response rate. Typically, 50% of people who purchase on your site will fill out this survey on average, which is crazy. And I also love that Enquire tracks the revenue, average order value, and number of people who are purchasing from each channel in a really easy to see breakdown. For my TikTok clients, I pretty much make Enquire as like an ad, like it's literally a requirement in terms of if you want to work with me on TikTok ads, we need to have Enquire because it is that important for measuring attribution. And especially since we know that TikTok's attribution is limited and isn't going to tell the whole picture of how many purchases are coming through or your CPA or ROAS, that's not necessarily going to be accurate on TikTok Ads Manager. But a really great source of truth is people simply just giving their information of how did you hear about us? Especially when it comes to attribution, sometimes we tend to overcomplicate it. We're trying to use too many softwares, too many ways of looking at it, different attribution models, and especially when there's multi-touch. And TikTok is a multi-touch platform where typically someone will come through on a TikTok ad, they'll get retargeted by Facebook or Google later, or Gum Direct. So simply just asking your customers, where did you first hear about us? How did you hear about us? And then having them self-report which channel was the most impactful in terms of which one they remember hearing your brand about. That's going to help so much for validating. As your spending goes up on TikTok, you're going to want to see these survey responses and, of course, the revenue go up as well. So let me go through a couple examples. So here's an example from one of my clients in terms of what the back end looks like. So when you log into the Shopify Enquire app, I just have it set on the last 7 days, and it really easily breaks down the responses in terms of which channels people are reporting. So as you can see, almost a 50% response rate, 48% response rate is pretty average. And then 69 people said TikTok was the reason for their purchase, which represents 38% of all survey responses. And then they also track the orders of the people who responded TikTok. So that's where that volume revenue number comes from. So from those people who self-reported that TikTok was their reason for purchase, that is their associated order values all added up. And then that order number all added up, that 6K divided by 69 responses gets you that $88 average order value. I always like to see how TikTok's average order value compares to other channels. So I think it's a really interesting metric that they add in there, which I haven't seen other survey platforms do. So super easy. It'll take you like literally 2 minutes to install the TikTok Enquire app, or it's not even a TikTok Enquire app. It's just the Enquire Shopify app. And then you just simply list out all of your acquisition channels when you set it up, and then it'll start serving right away. When people make a purchase on your site, they'll be asked which channel they came through from. So the next step is how to calculate your TikTok ROAS from this Enquire data. So I have a couple examples to go through to illustrate how I like to back out ROAS from these survey responses. So very simply, if we take the example of I spent $5K on TikTok in the last 7 days, and then I'm going to go to my Enquire app and see what is the reported volume of TikTok purchases in the last 7 days. And Enquire is reporting 6K of revenue from people who have responded that TikTok was their reason for purchasing. And so with the 48.53 % response rate, this is how I'm going to find my multiplier. And so essentially what I'm trying to figure out is, because only half of people on my site are filling out this survey, I'm trying to estimate, okay, well, what if everyone filled out the survey? Then what would my TikTok ROAS be? So if you want to do it like the lazy way, which I sometimes do, especially since the response rate is really close to 50% most of the time for my clients, you can simply just double the volume that TikTok Enquire responses is showing. So since 69 people responded that they came through on TikTok, you can double that to assume, okay, if 100% of my customers filled out the survey, because right now only 48% of my total customers filled out the survey, then I would have almost 140 purchases come through that reported TikTok. And you can do the same for the volume for revenue. So I can assume if I have a 50% response rate, if I have 6K in reported Enquire TikTok revenue, I simply double it. And so 12K would be my estimated TikTok revenue, assuming 100% of people respond to the survey instead of 50. But if you want to get your exact ROAS number, it's super simple math. So you're simply going to take 100 and divide it by that response rate. So 100 divided by 48.53, that gets us to 2.06. So that is your multiplier. And so you're going to multiply your Enquire revenue by that multiplier. So 2.06 times nearly 6K or a little above 6K to get your estimated total revenue attributed to TikTok, assuming 100% of people respond to the survey. So that would put us at 12.5K. So that's our estimated revenue from TikTok. And then to get your TikTok ROAS, you'll take your estimated TikTok revenue, divide it by your ad spend. And I just pulled last 7 days of metrics, and I assumed that I spent 5K on this client last 7 days to get your TikTok ROAS of a 2.51. So when I'm talking to clients about TikTok performance, this is the number one thing I'm reporting on. I'm not saying like, oh, in Google Analytics, we have this, or in TikTok's ads manager, this is what our CPA is. They don't really care about that. They really just care about what is our Enquire ROAS. And for most of my clients, as long as we're above a 2x on the Enquire ROAS, then we're in good shape. That's showing that we are profitable from our TikTok ad spend. I'm going to show a couple other examples. So here is another client, and this one has a much lower response rate on Enquire. This is because they have another pop-up on their Shopify thank you page when you purchase. So the response rate's a lot lower just because there is another pop-up there. But we can still back out what our TikTok ROAS would be if 100% of people filled out the survey instead of 15. So in this example, let's pretend in the last 7 days, we spent 10K on TikTok ads. And I have my date period for last 7 days. And you don't have to calculate this on a last 7 day period. You can look up your Enquire TikTok ROAS yesterday, last 7 days, last 30 days. I like to pull multiple periods when I'm reporting to clients on their TikTok ROAS. So if I'm looking at last 7 days, 2.6K is the reported TikTok revenue in the last 7 days at a 15% response rate. So I'm going to find my multiplier, which is simply 100 divided by the response rate to get me a multiplier of 6.28. Then I'm going to take that multiplier, multiply it by the TikTok reported revenue in Enquire to get my estimated TikTok revenue if 100% of people fill out the survey instead of 15%. So because only 15% of people fill out the survey, that's why the volume is 2.6K. But if everyone filled it out, we're estimating it would be at 16.5K. And then to get my TikTok ROAS, I would take my estimated total revenue, divide it by my total ad spend for last 7 days to get my TikTok ROAS of a 1.65. And I'll do one more example. So this one's a bit more typical because, like I said, we usually see around a 50% response rate for Enquire post-purchase survey. In this example, let's say we spent 4K on TikTok ads in the last 7 days. We're seeing 4,200 reported in Enquire under TikTok, which means we have a 53% response rate. So then to find my multiplier, I'm taking 100, dividing it by 53.25. I have a 1.87 multiplier. I take that multiplier, times it by the TikTok revenue to get my estimated TikTok revenue if 100% of people fill out the survey instead of half. So that would put us at nearly $8K for total revenue from TikTok. And so I'll divide the estimated revenue by my ad spend to get my TikTok ROAS of a 1.97. And again, if your response rate is close to 50%, you can also do it the lazy way of you just simply double the volume reported here. So then you can assume like, okay, 8.5K is my TikTok revenue. But I like to get a bit more exact. But if you're just trying to do some quick math in your head and you have a close to a 50% response rate, you can double it to estimate your total TikTok revenue if 100% of people fill out the survey, and then divide it by your ad spend to get your TikTok ROAS. So I hope this was helpful. Like I said, if you're on Shopify and you're planning to advertise on TikTok, like you need the Enquire app, I would say keep scaling as long as you're at a 2x Enquire ROAS or more. That's typically what my clients are looking at in terms of what is success on the platform. And as we are scaling our TikTok ad spend, we want to proportionately see those survey responses going up. And of course, that TikTok reported revenue going up. I cannot imagine advertising on TikTok in the last year without Enquire. It's that important to me. So I would wholeheartedly recommend to do it if you are a Shopify store. Alrighty, thanks so much.